Welcome to China Unfiltered. Today, we are doing something different. We are talking to foreigners living in China and getting their real unfiltered opinions about life here. Let's get straight into it. Please introduce yourself. Where are you from and how long have you been living in China?
Um, well, my name is Joe Thige. I am Kenyan and I am also American. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, to a Ugandan mother who lived in Kenya and to an American father. And so I guess I'm Kenyan American.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice to know that. Sometimes a lot of people cannot differentiate or say that, there are also black guys from America. They just know that everybody is African. Every black guy they see, it's an African. Thank you for that. So, what was your first impression when you arrived in China?
Well, I first arrived in Shanghai on 13th April 2015. And I picked Shanghai because I believe that Shanghai is one of the international cities. But when I arrived at the airport, there was barely anyone who speaks English, from the attendants at the airport to, passengers. And I needed to find my way. So I was moving, saying, excuse me. And everyone was saying, Timbudong, Timbudong, Tibuchi, Timbudong. So I felt lost. That was my first impression.
Wow. At that time, you could understand Timbudong.
Nope, I had no interaction with Chinese. That's why I wanted to come to Shanghai University, learn Chinese first before I transitioned to my major.
Wow, I could imagine speaking in a language or meeting people, you need some help, and you cannot hear what they are saying or things like that. It's really stressful.
Eventually, I found a young man who was gracious enough to show me to the subway and bring me all the way to campus, Shanghai University Yancheng campus.
Wow.
So there are great people, among the lot. There are people who are very selfless, and I found one, not long after I had landed.
Oh no. So, what surprised you the most about China compared to your home country?
When you say my home country, you mean Kenya or the US or both? Because
Both.
they could be worlds apart. There are similarities and there are also differences between the two countries. So about China, what I realized is that everyone uses chopsticks. So that to me was a bit interesting. And I came in 2015, and I think people are coming out of I think a pandemic. There was a pandemic or an epidemic, because like most of the people in Shanghai had masks. So I did not know why they were wearing masks. And so there are people who are deliberately keeping distance. So the two things: one, wearing masks, keeping distance, I didn't understand why, and two, using chopsticks, which I had to struggle with. Eventually I was able to manage.
Wow. So now I think you can use chopsticks.
Yeah, I can try. I mean, if that's the only option, I will not go hungry.
So, what is that one thing in your daily life in China that you now find normal, but people in your country will find it strange?
Well, again, I have two that I'm comparing. I'm comparing the US and I'm also comparing Kenya.
Yeah.
So in Kenya, people have a cashless sort of exposure in their day-to-day life because they have, a platform called M-Pesa, which, in essence is like WeChat or Alipay. So for that, I think it wasn't, very hard for me to transition. In any case, I was coming from Nairobi when I came to Shanghai in 2015. And so my life in Nairobi was basically cashless. And so when I came to China and life was cashless, that was similar. But now comparing with the US, where you have to use money all the time, or you have to use a Visa card, or you have to give something in order for you to get something. You have to give something physical. So it wasn't strange in that case. The eating habit, of course, a lot of spices. That to me was something I had to adjust. And also like their nightlife. They have a nightlife, maybe not across China, but where I landed in Shanghai, there's a huge nightlife. And at night, people come and sell their foods in the streets. So during the day, the streets are, a different, view based on the compared to the night. At night, people come with their carts and they sell chow fan and all manner of things. So the part of the streets are turned into, eating sort of zones. I have been to Uganda, and so what you find in like parts of Shanghai is similar to what you would find in Kampala, Uganda, where at night, like vendors come and they are smoking things and they are roasting things, and they are, it's similar. So I would encourage Chinese people to travel, because when they go, they will see, oh, this is like what happens at home, or maybe people from Uganda, for instance, where I've been, or maybe which other country did I witness? Cameroon. I've been to Cameroon. I recently went there. And so they also have a nightlife where, at night people come out and they are selling stuff and they're roasting stuff. So it's similar to the nightlife in parts of Shanghai, particularly where I was in my first few months.
Wow, that's wonderful. Oh, you visited Cameroon. I'm from Cameroon as well. So how did you like it there?
Well, I went to different parts of Cameroon. Do you want me to like give an entire scenario of where I went?
Yeah, a general look of view.
Well, I went to Cameroon because my wife, is from Cameroon, and we were going to meet our in-laws. So we went to the south, I think southwest. So we went to Limbe. We went to a place called Mutengene. We went to Buea, where she did her undergraduate. We went to Douala. I think that's the economic city of Cameroon.
Yeah.
English Cameroon. I think you have 10 provinces, so this is English Cameroon. Then we went to Yaoundé, which is the capital. So we went to the Unification Statue, I think.
Statue, yeah.
Reunification.
Reunification statue. Yeah.
So my experience in the different places were different, because like in Limbe, it's like laid back. Yes, the streets are busy, but it's laid back. In Yaoundé, it's very busy. It's very hilly. It's dusty, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. People are friendly, but people are a bit aggressive. So I think I'll leave it at that. No one was about me, not in a negative way, but I think people are generally aggressive. In the southern part of Cameroon, there were, like armed police. There were many roadblocks. And I understood that, some people prefer a different way of life, and they want to move away from maybe, I don't know what to say. I don't want to
I know. We just keep it friendly there,
So there were armed police who would, stop, the vehicles in different instances. But at the capital, there was none of that. In Douala, there was none of that. In Douala and Yaoundé, there was none of that. So I got a sneak preview, even though I was there for just 10 days.
Thanks for the remark about Cameroon, where I come from.
I loved it. I would love to go back. I would love to go back and, maybe spend a month or so. I think generally, I've not been to any African country that I have not wanted to go back. So I enjoyed Cameroon, and I would definitely want to go back.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks for that review. And is it easy or difficult living and working in China as a foreigner?
You see, the people who are working in China as foreigners come from different demographies. So if you're asking about myself, I can give my personal opinion. If you're asking generally, because I've studied in China, I've also worked in China, I've been a professor in the university in China, so I understand like the different scopes and dynamics. But as for me, I would say initially when you come to China, it's difficult. Why? Because you're adjusting. China is a monolithic society where everyone looks the same way. Their habits are the same. Their culture is the same. But when you come, we come from a very diverse society. So I believe that most foreigners speak maybe 2 or 3 languages. And the Chinese, like their way of life is like it's monolithic, I would say. So it's a foreigner that needs to understand the way of life in China in order for them to adjust. And that takes time. Building trust is another thing. So you cannot be a stereotype. We say, oh, Chinese people can be stereotyped, but sometimes people who come to China can also be stereotypes. You may think of Chinese people in a certain way, which is not true. It's a country of 1.4 billion people, and people are different. There are those who eat strange things. There are those who loathe strange things. There are those who are rude. There are those who are very polite and gentle. So adjusting takes time. And also, clearing some misunderstanding, because, the local community, they may not fully understand, why is this person here? What is he doing? Even if you're in school, they may not understand, what are you doing here? How is life in your country? So they're very curious. The general engagement with the local population is that they're very curious, and rightly so. So the foreigners who are here need to know that it will take time to adjust, whether they're in school, whether they are working. And then the same way when assuming you're in Cameroon, you say you're Cameroonian. If you're in Cameroon, you go there, you're living there, you need to know where I'm going, and where am I going to gym? Where will I be shopping? Will I be eating out? What will be my engagement? Will I be farming? Will I be, so you set out your living scope, and then you live by that. And I think when you do that, life becomes bearable.
Wow, that's cool. So what do you love about China, and what you don't like about China?
You set me up. I don't want to lose my residence permit. I don't hate anything about China. I would say, people taking photos or videos of me without my permission, I don't like that. Secondly, I have children. And so people giving my children stuff without asking me, this is not what we're used to. So I don't like that. But I like everything else about China. China has a very good lifestyle. It's affordable to live in China. Poor people are not poor in China. You can afford, even if you have limited income. There are wonderful foods all across the country, and affordable at that. And China is not dangerous. It's not a dangerous place to live. There are people who may not like you, but they just are like, why go red? Why go red? But there are others who may not like you in other places, who may decide, let's rearrange his head. Yeah. So I don't think you would have, that physical aggression in China. And I believe that China is a civilized society, and because of that, there are checks and balances. So even if you have this, let's assume that you have a disagreement with a local Chinese person, and the law steps in. They are very fair, because they'll look at what happened and then make fair judgment. So I do not dislike China. It's just that some people need to sort of, if you want to take a photo of Dr. Joy, just ask. I've actually had situations where someone has taken a photo of me without asking, or a video, or maybe they've videoed my children or photographed them, and I've walked to them and I said, what are you doing? Please delete that. And they would delete it, and they would, maybe apologize. And some would just refuse and say, oh no, I didn't. But then if someone deletes it, then I'll say, do you want to take a photo? All you needed to do is first ask. And then I would say, oh, why don't I take a photo of you and the children? Or say, you take a photo, all right, but then I'll give you my WeChat and you give it to me. So that creates mutuality. So we do not just repulse people, but we find a way of creating, that, common ground.
Wow, that's wonderful. So what is the biggest misunderstanding people outside China have about China?
That Chinese people eat dog. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh, I got that. So, would you stay long term in China? Why or why not?
Well, that depends with my employer and if they like me. I came to China for a mission, and I completed that mission. I initially came to China to study. I completed that and I left the country. And I married, and my wife was pursuing her program here in China. She had not completed. She needed to complete, and so we came back together with her and our 2 children so that she can complete her program. She did complete the program, and I was invited to work, and now I'm working. So I do not know how long I'll be in China. I would love to stay in China long term, but if I'm not working for this employer, I'm not going to look for work in China. I'm going to pack and leave. But I'm happy where I am. I love what I do, but I'm not desperate to stay. If my situation changes, I'll leave because I have my projects elsewhere that I'm working on. So I'm not stuck in China. I love it in China, but if things are not working, if maybe I need to be let go, then I'll just pack my bags and say thank you very much, China. I've enjoyed, and maybe my children will come and create their own stories in future.
Cool, cool, cool. So, China in one word, what is it?
One word is not enough to describe China. It's phenomenon. I think that's it. It's phenomenon.
Wow. So, would you recommend foreigners to come to China?
The second wealthiest country on earth, of course. One of the safest countries on earth, of course. One of the most organized countries on earth, of course. The country that uses meritocracy to get leaders, wonderful leaders who have done a wonderful job, of course. So I would recommend people to come to China, whether they are coming to study, whether they are coming to work, whether they are coming to buy. China is a great place. And I think everyone should see it. Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your experience. To everyone watching, what do you think about China? Comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join China Unfiltered for more real conversation about China. See you in the next episode. Thank you for coming.